call it to order. Put my glasses on so I can see what time it is. 6:03. Okay, there is a quorum, and the agenda was properly posted. It's the public's opportunity to speak. There's no one here. So we can, number 4, discuss and consider the minutes from the June 21st meeting, which are linked in your agenda. If there's any comments on it. Otherwise, I'll take a motion.
I move that we approve the library board minutes from June of 2023, as written.
Okay, is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thanks. Okay, motion carries. Number 5 was unfinished business, discuss the library budget for 2024, to be more specific, I guess. So several of us, not a quorum, met and discussed the library, the library board budget request, which right now looks like, I'll update you, Ally. We have a $15,000 capital request for a permanent story walk, and we met yesterday to talk about it with Parks. And just briefly, I think we're at a point where that would be like a very obviously good investment. It's minimal operating costs to print the get the books rights and print the pages. And we could change that out probably seasonally, and it's really picking a location and then presenting it. We'll talk with Sean again and then talk to Parks. So we'll bring back, I think Tracy and I will discuss, we'll walk some locations. Obviously, if you have input too, please tell us. And then we'll talk about it as a library board in August, and then talk to Parks and go from there. I think the 3 locations that we were considering were Willow Run, which is the zip line park, Community Park, maybe by the pickleball courts, and then Bakken Park. So I think just to take a look how the sidewalks work and proximity to playground structures would be important and that kind of stuff. Do you have anything else to add, Mr. Larson? So this, yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So what is the permanent part of this structure?
So it is the post and it's the stand for it. So it's a aluminum post. I think an angled one, when you go to a state park and you look at their information or whatever,
Yes.
It's like that. And so the quote we have is for 24 of them, I think. And you could, you space them out, and then you put the pages within. It's like an acrylic top or whatever. And so then we can switch them out and we can put whatever we want in them. Go ahead.
I was just going to add a really great example is at the Wanakee Library. If you're ever in Wanakee, stop and look at theirs.
Or Sheboygan. Have you been to their storybook gardens? Oh my God. Now we have to go there. Field trip.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. So that, we're just going over the budget request and just discussing, because we'll bring a full budget to you in August. But we said there's a $15,000 capital request for a permanent story walk. Obviously library building is in there as a $25 million request for the construction of a 35,000 square foot library. And the village board can, I think it's just really good to be in there, and they can rank it however they feel they need to put it in whatever category, but it keeps it slotted for future discussion. And then operational, we're still working on, which would be Tracy's salary as a part-time employee, and then operational costs for supplies obviously is a big expense. We have meetings next week with McFarland to discuss what 2024 looks like in terms of what kind of MOU we need between our boards. And then I think I was talking about operational costs. And so Tracy's time, event supplies to maintain the level of service that we've been doing. I can't. Oh yeah, we're meeting with McFarland next week. Yeah.
You were talking about all of our budget meetings we have coming up, I think.
Yeah, there's like a bunch next week. The idea is that I'd have a document for everyone to review in August, and we could approve that. But if anyone else has anything they want to make sure we think about before that, like, please speak up. Or send me an email. Okay.
And Cindy, can
Yeah.
you talk briefly about the process for the library board approving our request, when that'll happen? August?
So the idea is that, August 16th meeting, or whatever it is, we would approve our 2024 budget, and then it goes through like the whole village process, and we'll know in December. Is that, okay? So, I mean, is David on?
Yeah, I'm here.
Do you have anything else to add to that?
I think you summed it up pretty well. I mean, it's budget process starting now, and once we approve it in August, it'll then go to budget review, and then eventually the village board.
Okay. And I think, David has a pretty good idea of what the request is. And it'll be one page, sorry, to review in August. No. Okay, so new business, discuss and consider the staff support needs for the library board. There is an attachment with a request for additional staff support hours. I don't think the library board is really familiar with this. We've received a couple of tables over the last couple of months that have shown that we've exceeded the amount of hours allotted to the library board. And so I was just asking for an increase in the hours to get us through the rest of the year, knowing that we're meeting once a month, and there isn't much going to be happening, I don't think. I don't know if anyone has any suggestions, or if JJ, if you have suggestions. Or David, too, please weigh in.
No, I was talking with Cameron. We've got a little bit of some ideas we might bring to you, but this is the first part, like you said, exceeded, so just let the board know and get their thoughts for the rest of this year. Sorry, I'm afraid to take my eyes off the Zoom now and get ready quicker. Yeah, no, I think this is good for right now.
Okay.
See what they say.
Just for clarification, this is staff time besides Tracy's time, right?
Yes,
So,
I'm sorry, yeah.
very good. And we, just to reiterate what I said the other night, is that we really do appreciate all the support we've gotten from the staff, and we know there's a lot of conflicting priorities, and this is an ask, and we can, I'm open to a lot of ideas to discuss and how to support this.
Can I just add too, we've made a couple changes as well to move some responsibilities from JJ's plate to my plate. For example, I have a credit card now and access to an Amazon account, so I no longer need to send JJ itemized lists of things to purchase for us, which takes time. So that's going to hopefully reduce fraction of the hours itself.
I appreciate the streamlining of the processes.
Well, and JJ, you can obviously tell us to, no, and yeah. We can talk later.
Yep.
Okay. So I guess I'll just send that, discuss and consider, so. The idea is that it's gonna go to the village board. David, do you have any comments on it?
I'm trying to drive and open the attachment at the same time, so it's taking me a few minutes here.
Do you think 5 hours?
Safety first, Dave. We need you alive, so please don't drive.
Right.
And
Yeah.
our police chief would appreciate that.
How many hours does the library board currently have? 5? Is that right? Okay. do you think you need to request a larger amount? Not you, sorry, I was looking at Cindy, no. Like, how many, yeah, like, how many hours do you think need to happen versus like what's realistic?
We gotta talk, I think, maybe moving forward. I'd probably have to meet and talk with Cindy.
JJ, can you turn on your mic?
Yeah, yep. I'll probably, I have to talk it through with Cindy. Cameron and I were bouncing some ideas off each other, but I'd make sure I'd run them by Cindy and see if that would work. But yeah, probably. I mean, this is essentially saying we need some more hours for the rest of the year. And then we'll have it, I think, put a fine point on it in time for budget talks, I would think. Probably.
Is this okay as written?
So I would say the one piece of feedback I have after perusing it is that the village board, or specifically John Williams, is gonna want to know an hour amount. And I don't, in your memo, I don't see a number. I just see specific tasks or where questions may arise. And I think the feedback you're gonna hear is how many hours does that equal?
That was my question too, was how, I mean, based on, you said you saw charts of the overage, like how much was the overage? Are we talking,
It's significant right now, over 5 hours a week, yeah. It's
okay.
way over.
And that was before Tracy got a credit card and started any of this kind of stuff. And there was a lot more kind of startup, probably administrative work that was being done
That's
that
what I
maybe
think.
will lessen as we go forward.
I think I could probably speak to, like, if a question comes from the board about, what's it take to create an agenda, update the announcements. And like you said, a lot of the other stuff we were doing was the FGM work and the getting started with all of this, and there's a lot of that stuff, but that's where I'd want to make sure I clear it with Cindy what kind of expectations we're looking for moving forward to make sure that we give the village board a true picture of that.
One more possible idea, JJ, and I'm sure you'd have to talk to somebody about this, but giving me access to the back end of the website so that I can make updates to programs
We did talk
and
about that.
attachments.
We'll talk more.
How many hours a week, Tracy, are you approved to work?
I'm 16 right now, and then I'm approved to bump up to 20 in the fall.
And will that additional 4 help supplement what the current staff is helping with? The other village staff is helping with?
I mean, right now, like for example, with JJ buying stuff for me and that moving back to my plate, like I'm still researching things and putting things in the cart, and I'll just be.
Well, and I
buying
no,
myself.
what I'm wondering is, is there anything on the staff side that helps? So like the website is a good example of you're now going to be working half-time, 20 hours a week, so you're a trusted employee who's held to the same responsibilities as JJ and other staff. So if you did misdo something with the website, that hampers a lot in a lot of different things. So, being mindful of that, just like anyone else who has that level of access. Being in IT, I can appreciate. Being in cybersecurity, I can appreciate leaving limited access, but it's limited access based on a need. And I would say if this is a need that helps alleviate JJ's or other staff time, I think that would be, I'd really advocate for that that element. Knowing how far over we are and kind of planning for the next year, I think that would get us to the number that Dave is asking about. So yeah, we could pick out out of the air as additional hour a week or additional 2 hours a week, but having those numbers and projecting going forward is a little difficult, I think, at this time, based on, hey, all of this was startup. So I don't know if those are numbers that need to be reviewed here at the village board, at the village library board, so we can project better for the trustees.
And I'm sure it's going to come up in budget negotiations as well. To be prepared for requests for next year.
Yeah, we'll want to have that ironed out pretty completely for that.
is there a suggestion for a number?
Do we have a current number?
100.
Or do we have a current number of what staff are working per week or per month?
We have an average,
And what's that average?
let's see if I can find it.
Well, it was trending down, but I think Cameron's probably got a lot of hours this week, just based on the emails I've been copied on. Let me see if I can pull that up.
Emails.
There were a lot mid-May when we got the news about the library, just because you were having a lot of meetings with Cindy, and multiple people were in the meeting claiming those hours, so that was a pretty heavy period of time.
Yeah, that was up there. Is it the most recent one? It was anywhere from 5 to some weeks had 32 1 week. I mean, that's between every staff member that it may have touched that week, so.
Right. So if we
But I
look,
guess like those aren't library board necessarily hours.
No.
Like either.
No, they're
And so,
library
like, I just
related,
wanna,
yep.
I don't really want that to come down to the library board or programming, because we don't really ask you to do, I mean, we obviously ask you to do things, but like when it comes to like library board specific things versus Kel Nelson things, I mean,
so if right now, I would say that if, throwing a dart is 128 hours on average. Is that right? No, you said 32, up to 32 hours a week.
That was
So
the highest, yeah.
yeah, is the highest. So I'd go 14 hours or 15 hours a month. Well, no, I just messed that up, didn't I? 15 hours a week of staff time, and then another 20 hours a week for Tracy's time. So a total of 35 hours of library activities between board, programming, and support, which they'll balk at because that's 35 hours, and now you're talking FTE. But that's what you've been doing.
I mean, that seems fair for this. If we want an answer, if that question comes up, we can say, here's what the average has been. The request is we finish out the year, figure it out, and bring a proposal, or, finish out the next few months as we develop a budget request.
So why don't we say a range of 24 to 30?
I think the ones that we're tracking, it's not Tracy. We could probably keep that separate.
Yep.
Because she doesn't have anything but, I don't ask her to hop in a truck and go do something else.
Deliver books.
So on just staff hours, then I would give them then the range of 12 to 15 hours a week on average.
I guess the pushback on that number is who's gonna do that work? That's what you're gonna hear from the village board.
Who's doing it today?
It varies. Me,
Yeah, it
Sean.
varies, but
Yep.
But I think it's, the problem is we don't have enough headcount as it is to cover the work that needs to be done.
So
So-
I'll say the library board doesn't have the authority to say that we need to increase or decrease. If the question is how many hours do we need to, that we're anticipating support for the board, that's what we can answer. Knowing these hours hopefully will decline because we won't be doing some of the things that we're projecting out. So I can't answer that question because we do not manage the staff, nor should we. So that would be the question that the trustees need to address.
Question for you, JJ. if I'm emailing Cameron, for example, or Sean, a lot of times I'll just CC you because you're kind of the one in the know.
Yeah.
Am I maybe CCing you too often? Like,
Nope.
are you, if you see an email pop up that says Tracy, is that automatically library time?
No,
Okay.
no, and no, please don't stop copying
Okay.
me.
Okay. Well, I didn't know if I should like prioritize if it's definitely a JJ email,
No.
if it's only a Cameron email,
No,
don't include
and
you.
I tell anybody that thinks, and I know Matt feels the same. I'm nervous not looking at the Zoom. Hold on, got that chart up in front of me. No, always copy. There's nothing better than you're in a meeting for a few hours and you see 50 emails, but 45 of them are just to keep you in the loop and you don't have to do anything. That's wonderful.
Okay.
And no, that doesn't get counted.
Okay, so I'll add information about the hours, the average has been whatever, and then,
Project 12 hours a week.
I guess the question about that range, Stefan, is like you mentioned like activities will start to die down. Is that 12 to 15 or is that range that you quoted, is that after things die down or is that in the short term while these we'll call them startup activities continue?
I think it's based on whatever annual calendar or fiscal calendar you look at, is that there's going to be ebbs and flows in that based on budget season will need more time if there's a event that requires legal time, or if we get a FOIA type request, that's going to require additional time. So that's where the higher end would come into play for significant months. So like, what did you say, 32 hours in May?
And he said, I'm sorry, I think I'm just going back to my own to check, because it looks like he has the per week, he has it written per week average, but I believe it's actually per pay period. So that 32 was for 2 weeks. So
Oh.
it's not, so maybe,
So now we're down to 8,
Yep.
8 to 10.
that's what I'm trying to go back and just confirm on
Yeah.
mine.
And that 32 was a major outlier if you look at the other numbers in that column. That was when Matt was spending a lot of time with Cindy on the library,
Yep.
physical library.
So then, and again, I feel like we're just throwing darts when I'm saying 8 to 10. It depends what that spreadsheet, and I'm okay not getting the spreadsheet and going through it.
It'll
But if
give you
JJ
anxiety,
is saying
trust me.
that it's, per pay period every 2 weeks, let's go 8 to 12 hours per pay period.
I can do the math on it. I can
Yep.
remove statistical outliers and give like the actual.
You could do that? I bet you can.
Sometimes I can do math,
wonder.
but I know it's hard. In the real world, I'll give it my
Thank you, doctor.
good old college try.
You can do it.
Okay.
Instead of me guessing, I'd appreciate that.
Okay. So I'll add the actual details. Sound good? What's standard deviation? I think I can handle it. Okay. Yes, with the amendment.
So I move that we approve the request for additional staff support hours with Cindy's addition and revisions,
Is there a second?
otherwise as
Second.
written.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed, motion carries. Okay. B, discuss and consider goals for moving forward. There's another attachments to consider. And I mean, maybe this also just helps the village board understand like, priorities moving forward and how they're not reliant on staff, with the exception of Tracy. What y'all think?
I think it's good. I think it's really comprehensive. personally, I really like the portion that discusses kind of revising the timeline and reviewing the village's financial landscape annually and acknowledging that the financial reality is one thing currently, but there's no telling what it could be next year or 5 years from now or something, and leaving things more, just making sure that we're checking back in on that portion. But I don't see anything that I think needs to be omitted or anything that we're missing in terms of the scope of what the library board should be doing.
I'll make a motion to approve the goals as presented, the goals moving forward as presented.
Second?
Is there any more discussion on it?
I do want to confirm with Dave and others that this is what will be, that can be discussed and embraced by the trustees. So it's great that we want to do these things, but if we're not, lack of a better word, being held accountable by the board and the community, that these are the things that we should be focused on. In the last 12 months, it's a paper chase. So I just want to validate, David, that this is what you can carry forward and talk to and support in representation on your place on the village board.
Yep, 100%.
Very good. I figured that with your motion, but I wanted to confirm. From the point of view of the Friends, you know, is this something, did anyone discuss any of these items with the Friends to kind of get their input?
The Friends have not met since this was drafted, so I haven't gotten any direct feedback from the Friends yet. We can definitely take it to the August meeting that they have, which I believe the date for the August meeting is before we meet as a library board again.
Mm-hmm.
So I could get any feedback from them if there's anything that they feel strongly about.
I hope I'm not out of place in just adding this, but the Friends Executive Committee met last Thursday, and the four of us did reaffirm our commitment to supporting the library board and the process that the library board is going to move forward with.
And I presented to them for a long time.
So I've done my due diligence.
Thank you.
So,
It's a good point, though.
so I think that, I believe, these are obviously things I'm willing to stand behind and promote from my point of view, and I think it's something that the rest of the board and others in the community can support. So I support this, and we can probably move to a vote.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, do we all want to sign it? Okay. Yeah, I can get you a copy of it or PDF. Okay. Where are we? Programming reports. You want to do that?
Sure. Okay, so July was a very busy month, our busiest month on the calendar so far. We have or had 10 programs. So I'll just kind of talk through a couple of the highlights to share with you, as well as some updates on some fall programming. So I talked a little bit about our new partnership with Movin' Out, the low-income apartment housing just down the road there. So we did a story time when Farrier led it. It was paid for by Movin' Out, so that story time itself was no cost to the library board. It was a pretty small turnout, but we really have to kind of get the word out to those new residents and find a time that works best for the families that actually live there. Out of that meeting, Wynn and I had some really wonderful conversations with two moms in particular that I think would like to get involved in a committee of the library board going forward, and have just excellent ideas on how to engage more diverse audiences than we are currently. So I hope that we can kind of move forward with that next year. On Monday, we had the Wonders of Physics program, and I just want to point out that was an excellent program. We had I think I counted 92 kids there, and they paid attention so well for the entire hour, and they would go from being really rambunctious and riled up to listening very intently. So there was something about that format and that space and the speaker that just was perfect. I've already booked her for next year, so she'll be back in April on a no school day, so we'll just have to figure out where that's going to be. I CC'd everybody on the library board as well as the village board to let you know about an author talk that we have on July 29th with Patty Cicernos Prevo. She, as you know, is a two-time Paralympic athlete and author. So she's going to be coming to read her book, Tenacious, 15 Adventures Alongside Disabled Athletes. And she is bringing along 2 other Paralympic athletes, one of which is the current coach of the U.S. men's or women's team that just won gold at the games. Like, it's going to be a pretty big deal. So we'll have Patty, 2 other Paralympic athletes, and then a youth on the Madison team. So they're actually going to do wheelchair basketball demonstrations at North Lawn Park. They'll have extra chairs there as well, so residents will be able to try it. I think this is a really special event. It is Disability Pride Month, and it's the very end of it. So, you know, if everybody in this room could maybe make a couple special invitations to people you think that would get something out of it, it's going to be really special.
And that really goes along with the board theme, of highlighting a specific like DEI or, you know, something every month. And so I think pairing, you know, our book recommendations and like what we're celebrating with an event is a really nice thing that we can try and continue to think about going forward next year.
Is there a rain site or a bad
There
weather
is a rain site. I
option,
don't know
or
it off
do
the top of my head. It's either the park's indoor space or it's the bank, but there is a rain
Okay,
space.
there is something. And do we think the North Lawn Park is going to be? You said they're playing wheelchair basketball or like doing wheelchair basketball demonstrations. There's like the 2 courts right there. Is that? What happens if we have another Zoo to You situation where we have a ton of people and not like are we comfortable feeling like that's the right space for it and big enough?
I think it will be. We
Okay.
did put $100 behind Zoo to You on Facebook, and the reach was exceptional. We put $30 behind this one, and I think that is kind of the sweet
The
spot.
right spot. Okay.
that
Yeah,
gets
we've
us to
been,
like 75 people.
We've been working on a marketing strategy where we can like target the sweet spot of people and not
Right.
overwhelm ourselves every time.
Yeah, Zoo to You we probably put too much money behind that program. But it's a good question.
It was very popular. in
Patty has
Wyoming.
told me that the other athletes that she's bringing along are very charismatic and are these are like celebrities in this world. So they're used to engaging with a lot of people. So, you know, we can kind of play it by ear, and if we need to break off into smaller groups, we can definitely try to manage that.
It sounds like you have it all handled, just like everything else. So marvelous.
Thank you. So looking into August, everybody knows that I will be on vacation for a couple weeks in August. And Cindy, thank you for stepping in to being at a couple of those programs for me. So just, again, highlight a couple. Curious Critters Story Time that Wynn is leading, again, is just such a special program. Wynn is a gift, and we're really lucky to have her leading that nature-based program. So I think that that's another program that we had 75 people at our first one, something like that. That's a program that could continue to grow, and we may need to think about modifications if it does, because we're kind of limited for space. And then on August 28th is the Teaching Safe Bicycling class here from 3 to 8. And again, that is to train people to lead stations at the bike rodeo. So the bike rodeo is going to require quite a few volunteers. And so the people that attend the training will be able to set up the stations and run those stations with minimal input from the Wisconsin Bike Federation. So that's really, you know, the one program that I'm hoping, if you guys are able as library board members, that's kind of when we need you. If you can't do the training, but you're available for the rodeo on September 9th, we can give you something else like setup or cleanup or managing other volunteers. We'll definitely have work for you. So possible leave those dates open. Cassie Mordini and I are going to work on a volunteer sign up, and we'll share that with everybody in the next couple of weeks probably. October 26th, jumping down to October now, is our community read, and Maggie's books just arrived. So, yeah, you can have a signed copy. Yeah, Megan has a copy. Want to make sure here. Sorry, you don't get to sign.
I'm okay.
But they're all stamped with our library programming logo.
Yes. So
So we've
again,
been stamping every book that's been given out in Cottage Grove with it too.
Megan made the connection with this author. Thank you, Megan. So Maggie will be here on the 26th at the Granite Ridge Library to do a book talk. We have 100 books. Cindy, Megan, and I have we've created a document for people we'd like to make sure get a copy, including the Friends leaders and the book club, the Friends book club and the Teachers book club at the elementary schools. So I'll probably just go out and hand deliver those. And then all the rest of the books will be available to pick up from Municipal Services Building in September. So we'll be sure to promote that. But, hopefully everybody can make it. Everybody that takes a book hopefully can make it to the book talk.
Second adoption when you're done. That's awesome.
The what?
Second adoption or type theme you've done. That's awesome.
Oh,
Yes.
What was the first one?
The first one was the Chinese mothers. I thought 2 months ago, or a couple weeks back, you did a reading. There was one at Dudrins. I forget the name. Downrins. Forget
Oh,
the name.
Tracy was reading that one.
I'm
was about-
blanking.
We were talking about it at the,
Unbanished or something like that. I know.
It's about an undocumented family
Yep.
that moves to the U.S.
Yeah. So there's things like that. that
Yeah.
I think
Is
are awesome.
is
Good
there
storylines.
is there a month that highlights adopted
Adoption?
families?
Yes.
Yeah, there is.
I should know that.
Yeah, do you want to send that to me and we can
Yeah, I'll do that.
do more book promotions for that?
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for bringing that up. So just a couple other things. Going forward with Moving Out, just want to let everybody know that we will be doing story time there the first Friday of every month starting in September. When we'll do the first one, and then after that, Ms. Heather from McFarland will step in and do that. So that'll be consistent. It will be open, of course, to the Moving Out families, but also to the general public as well. We really want to foster integration because we're all in the same community. I'm also working to get the Madison Reading Project's Little Red Bus to make a stop there as well. And I don't know if you guys know about the Madison Reading Project, but they've got this giant red bus that they fill with free books and they take it to underserved communities. So that would be for those kids, but also all the kids in Cottage Grove could come and pick out a book. We, of course, did our little free library ribbon cutting at Drumlin Residences since the last board meeting, and we had a wonderful group of people attend, including representatives from the school district, media. John Williams was there. Who else am I missing? Oh, an AARP representative came, and we had a woman named Sylvia, who's the reader at Drumlin Residences, come and take the very first book. So it was very special. Mm-hmm. We're hoping, again, that part of our operating budget can be to replenish those books and take more requests in upcoming years. I'm working, well, this is pretty much done, but Cindy, Stefan or Allie, which one of you is a better proofreader?
or split it up.
Do you mind just taking a quick look at this? So Stefan, that's the fall, and Dave, that's the fall promotional piece, just like the summer promotional piece that we had. Youth on one side, adults on the back. It doesn't include everything because, of course, everything isn't finalized, but it has a good chunk of what we're planning for the fall and winter. So we'll print 500 of them.
And they'll go out to, well, the community night and then back to school nights. And then at all of our
programs.
programs and stuff. Yep.
We could stick them in books. Should I get maybe 600? Stick them in books. Okay.
And obviously at the bookmobile too.
Yeah, stuff holds. John can.
We're definitely, we've got like,
I take them to every program, and
Yeah.
people.
Actually, I saw a lot of people taking them at physics.
That was interesting. I think I took 40, and I only took 4 home.
Sorry.
How many of the 500 that you printed for the spring and summer, or I guess it was just for the summer?
Well, that's a little tricky because I printed a bunch for the Monona librarians to take to daycares, and they
Okay.
ended up giving a bunch back to me. So.
Okay.
the
I mean, like, have we
summer
gone
isn't a
through it?
good-
It's not a good representation of how many we need. Okay.
600 will probably do. Okay. So I'll order them tomorrow, and they should arrive next week, so we have them, we can start giving them out in August. Distillery has been going well. You know, we've had different people attend every one. I mean, we don't have a large amount of people, but we have new people attending every Distillery. I think at the last one that you guys were at, there were 3 or 4 new people. So, I've asked Abby at Downdren's to make that a monthly thing in the fall and winter when school gets going again. So I asked for the 4th Tuesday of the month. So hopefully we can keep doing that. If anything, it's just an excuse for all of us to get together and have a good time. The last thing I just wanted to ask, for those of you with older kids, I'm looking for a teen or a tween musician that would be interested in entertaining a crowd and kind of providing a little bit of background music for a winter event. Or a group of musicians, or like a trio, or Stefan, if you know of anybody, it doesn't have to be your kids, but if your kids have friends that are musicians.
I'll ask them if they have friends. It
Okay.
doesn't seem, I don't hear kids going, oh, hey, we're getting a band together, or something like that.
I should maybe reach out to the music teachers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and figure out who the keeners are.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know. Hold on. Okay, yes, on it.
I think those are the things that I really wanted to highlight. Again, a lot's confirmed, and I'll probably add a couple more things in. as
Are we allowed
go.
to add comments here?
I have discussed proposed programming
Okay,
on the
I will wait for
underneath
that.
programming
Thank you.
report, so go ahead.
Oh, we can discuss now?
I added it.
The Veterans Day Storytime TBD, are you trying to come up with an idea
That
or
is
connect?
confirmed
Okay.
since
Oh.
I've sent this to you all
Awesome.
2 weeks ago. It will be here on November 11th, and Jennifer, who's a retired higher up in the military.
In the
She's-
Friends?
In the Friends,
She-
yep.
yes,
She's a
okay.
grandma. She is going to lead the story time, and she has a couple good ideas, and she'll donate some books as well. So that'll be here.
Great. Anything else?
I think, you know, doing something for Veterans Day, doing something for Martin Luther King Jr. Day, like celebrating and commemorating important holidays through a story time and a craft and just general awareness can be something that we can really easily do
Yeah.
next year.
The one thing I want to highlight is that sometimes we hear diversity, equity, inclusion. We've done a good job with that. You've also done a really good job with balancing out with a lot of other things. So I'm always hesitant, or I'm always cautious, I guess, not hesitant, cautious that we'll get feedback, oh, you're just doing things for these groups and not the people that look like me, for lack of a better phrase. We are. A lot of these things, the veterans activities, the grilling activities, these are all standard things. The bat, I'm so,
Nobody signed up for it really, so if you want to come, there's open spots.
I'll have to look at the date, and I'll probably be, but the Great Lakes thing. So there are events that are tailored towards everyone. I think that's a really thing. Also, it's just as important to point out that we're delivering to everyone, and just not focused on some of the more cultural things that unfortunately get some bad press sometimes, unfortunately. This is a very well-balanced programming, so thank you for your work on this.
And I think we can always be open from ideas from the community, open to ideas from the community as well. Teddy bear sleepover at the police station at the EMS is also another example of that. For the most part, the families who attended the one at the police station were people that we haven't seen at other programs. So that's another good example, I think. So yeah, I mean, so far nobody in the community has really come to us saying, could you do this? Aside from, you know, this group of people, but we should maybe going forward ask on social media or in January when we're doing our planning, what do you want to see in Cottage Grove? What are our blind spots? Can I add, Cindy, that we're about the programming committee, or is that
I have it for
Okay.
later.
just as the,
Yeah.
you can get feedback?
Okay. All right, moving on. Consider approval of vouchers. There's a bills list listed in your agenda. I have 3 additional ads. One is a $30 Facebook boost. The second is the invoice for the community read. And the third is Wind Farrier's time for the June Curious Critters. And if anyone would like to see those bills, I have them here.
We're on the library bills list.
Yes. The Curious Critters it's at $200 as it has been for all of our story time programming of that nature. Like I said, the $30 for the Facebook post, and then the community read, which was just under 1,000. So it's the bills list plus the addition of the 3 that I just said.
I move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, motion carries. All right. What's next? Committee reports, the facility subcommittee met in June, and the meeting minutes are attached. I don't remember what we talked about. What did we talk about? The facility subcommittee meeting. What did we talk about? This one. Oh, that was right after we had finished meeting with FGM. So we just kind of debriefed from that, and the facility subcommittee probably won't be meeting anymore unless there is a final presentation from FGM, which I don't know if there will be.
Oh, really?
There will be.
Okay. So yeah. Okay, what do I have to say? So I guess there will be a FGM meeting. Yeah, I don't have, in Tracy, really, the outreach and engagement stuff. I mean, we've just been working a lot with moving out, and kind of developing some relationships there, and that's pretty much it. Attached in your agenda is the final report too from the AARP grant that we had to submit, and so that's done. Any questions on that? Okay, otherwise, Megan, you can do your friends report.
Okay, just a quick friends report. They have their next meeting, we have our next meeting, August 10th at 6:30 p.m. It's a virtual meeting, and everyone is always welcome. They have upcoming events. Actually, the day before, August 9th, is the book club getting together at 1855 Saloon and Grill. And you can mark it on your calendars now. We already have the annual Friends Social at Downdrans set for October 12th at 6 p.m. That has been updated to something else. And October 4th, my mistake. Apparently Downdrans couldn't handle us on the 12th, so we're moving to the 4th. We couldn't wait. Still 6 p.m., yes. And yeah, that's it.
Our next meeting is Wednesday, August 16th at 6 o'clock here.
Cindy, can you turn your mic on?
Our next meeting is Wednesday, August 16th at 6 o'clock, and we'll have a final draft of the 2024 budget. And I mean, I think that like all of our committees ideally would stay intact, but just go to an as-needed basis. I think one thing that, kind of like what Tracy had said, we want to make sure that we're not missing any gaps or have blind spots at all. And with the DEI work that we'd like to do, and just like with the programming, and I know brainstorming in a board meeting is hard to do. And there's been several members of the community that have reached out to us and that would really like to take a more active role. And potentially, I know, don't roll your eyes, forming a committee to kind of do that work, I think would just improve the goal of programming. So we can talk about that next time. Anyone else have anything?
I guess I just have a procedural question. I know that I just want to confirm that our budget conversations will include the non-capital conversation that needs to happen that is going to the board. Am I using the right word?
I think our budget request, we've got capital and operational.
Operational,
Yep.
thank you. So that'll be there and we'll talk about that next month.
Yes, you'll
Cool.
have a full, thing to approve.
Cool. Very good. Thank you.
That, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All right, it's done. Thank you.
Be well.
With a magician.